Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting moment where we talk about business. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Okem. In Business 360 today, we'll look at some of the interesting features in the world of business all around the world, from the European scene, Asian outlook, and we'll also look at African talking points. But we begin from Australia. Australia will ban imports of disposable vapes from January in an effort to curb nicotine addiction in children. New laws to stop single-use vapes from being made, advertised and supplied in the country will also be introduced. It comes amid a broader push to phase out recreational vaping completely. Vaping has been marketed as a way to quit smoking, but Australia's health minister says it has created a new generation of nicotine dependency. Vapes, or e-cigarettes, are lithium battery-powered devices that have cartridges filled with liquid containing nicotine, artificial flavoring, and a range of other chemicals. On the foreign scene, increasing number of ships are steaming towards Ukraine's Black Sea ports and heading out, loaded with grains, metals, and other cargo, despite a threat of attack and explosive mines. It's happening under a fledgling shipping corridor launched after Russia pulled out of a UN-brokered agreement this summer that allowed food to flow during the war. According to reports, it's been the observation in Ukraine, and let's find out more.
More efficient, more profitable, and we can do some more cargo through Odessa ports. It's not a solution for us to export from Danube, actually, because it's a loss-making business.
After years of inflation, U.S. consumers are shouldering a burden unlike anything seen in decades, even as the pace of prices increases has slowed. President Joe Biden spoke after a meeting on supply chain resilience. He said, "We know that prices are still too high for too many things." Let's find out more from the president.
But we know the prices are still too high for too many things. That times are still too tough, but we know the prices are still too high for too many. That times are still too tough for too many families. But we made progress, but we have more work to do. Let me be clear. To any corporation that's not brought their prices back down, even as inflation has come down, even as supply chains have been rebuilt, it's time to stop the price gouging.
Meanwhile, Israel and Hamas have agreed to extend their ceasefire for 2 more days past Monday. Footage released by the military wing of Hamas, the Al-Qassam brigades, on Monday showed the 4th group of hostages being handed to the International Committee of Red Cross. Let's also have a view of this. Meanwhile, the White House on Monday welcomed the extension of the Israel-Hamas truce for another 2 days, raising the prospect of a longer halt to the deadly and destructive war and further exchanges of hostages. John Kirby, the National Security Council spokesperson, said this.
Now, in its fourth day, will be extended for another 2 days through Thursday morning Israel time. This humanitarian pause has already brought a halt to the fighting together with humanitarian assistance. Now, in order to extend the pause, Hamas has committed to releasing another 20 women and children over the next 2 days. We would, of course, hope to see the pause extended further, and that will depend upon Hamas continuing to release hostages. We'd certainly like to see even that extension extended further until all the hostages are released. That's really the goal here: get all the hostages home with their families where they belong. And we, however long that could take. So the approach that we're taking with Israel, and quite frankly with our partners in the region, is working. It's getting aid in to people that need it. It's getting a pause in the fighting. It's getting hostages out. It's getting Americans out.
John, how many Americans are still being held hostage, and do you have proof of life?
We think the number...
In Africa, a new report claims that mercenaries associated with the Wagner Group are reportedly making $10 million per month through their involvement in the ongoing conflict in Mali, leveraging on the ongoing terror to exchange African gold, thereby contributing to funding Vladimir Putin's military activities. The group, formerly led by the late Yevgeny Prigozhin, who passed away in August this year, was invited to Mali to combat Islamic State terrorists following the military junta's seizure of power in a coup in 2021. U.S. intelligence experts believe the mercenary group is profiting from the proxy war, which has seen hundreds of civilians killed and wounded. Meanwhile, Mali and Russia claim that the fighters are not mercenaries, but trainers assisting local troops in combating an insurgency. Still in Africa. Following the July coup in Niger that deposed previous President Mohamed Bazoum, a fellow West African country, Nigeria, chose to respond by suspending energy exports to the country. This posed a significant issue in Niger's power sector, considering that Nigeria supplied 70% of Niger's electricity prior to the coup. According to a report recently put out by the British news network, Niger has since then experienced cascading power outages. However, Niger has initiated the operation of its mega solar power plants, mitigating the power shortages brought about by Nigeria's exit from its power sector. Despite coup-related delays, the solar key towns. Meanwhile, the French ambassador warns of operational risks in Niger. Over 55,000 African doctors have left the continent to global north countries, according to a recent study. The report by the continent highlights that among the African countries experiencing this drain of medical professionals, Egypt has suffered the greatest loss. The report noted that Egypt has the lowest doctor-to-patient ratio among its North African counterparts. Nigeria, South Africa, Algeria, and Sudan also have faced a notable decline in the quality of healthcare services available to their residents. The report identifies the United Kingdom as a primary destination for African doctors. The United States, France, Canada, Germany, and Ireland round up the top 6 destinations for African medical professionals. Now in Nigeria. Aliko Dangote, Africa's richest man, has announced intentions to publicly list his Dangote Petroleum Refinery on the Nigerian Exchange Limited. The move aligns with Dangote's broader business strategy and could impact the company's valuation and investor engagement positively. The refinery, which is expected to produce diesel, kerosene, and jet fuel, would start operation in December. Meanwhile, the amount spent on airtime and data by Nigerian telecom subscribers rose to at least 2.59 trillion naira in the first 9 months of 2023, This is according to the financial statement of MTN Nigeria and Airtel Africa. This was a 32.57% increase from the 1.95 trillion naira both telcos recorded from both income sources in the corresponding period of 2022. The increase in invoice and data revenue was partially driven by rising data subscription and the devaluation of the naira on Airtel's spots selling Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu has retained Mala Kyari as the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. The Special Advisor on Media and Publicity to the President Jurin Galele, who confirmed the developments in a statement in Abuja, said his principal also appointed Pius Akinyeluri as the company's non-executive chairman. He added that the appointments were in compliance with Section 59 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. These, according to him, will take effect from December 1st. Other appointees are Alhaji Umar Isa Ajia, Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Ledin Miti, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Musa Tomsa, Non-Executive Director, Mr. Gali Mohammed, Non-Executive Director, Professor Mustafa Aliyu, Non-Executive Director, Mr. David Ogbodu, Non-Executive Director, and Ms. Eunice Thomas, Non-Executive Director. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll look at economic statistics all around the world and the indices that comes with it. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. It is Business 360, and my name is Blyden Okem. And now to global economic standings, beginning with Israel. Israel leaves key rate steady at 4.75%. Let's have the conversation. The Central Bank of Israel kept its policy rate steady at 4.75% on November 27th, as the conflict with Hamas enters its 8th week, with negative consequences on both real activity and financial markets. Still, the bank emphasized that the Israeli economy, which is strong, stable, and built on solid foundations, has consistently demonstrated its ability to recover from challenging periods in the past. The committee also stated the moderation in the inflation rate, even though it remains above the target range, and its convergence has been threatened by the risks of a further devaluation of the shekel, the currency of Israel. The annual inflation rate eased to 3.8% in September 2023 from 4.1% in the previous month. In the light of new developments, the board also revised downwards the GDP growth forecast to 2% for both 2023 and 2024. Now to the European Central Bank. The European Central Bank officials may soon revisit their 1.7 trillion euro pandemic bond portfolio and reconsider how long they will replace maturing securities, according to President Christine Lagarde, she said, during remarks before European Parliament and lawmakers in Brussels. Let's have details of this meeting.
As climate-related data improve, we are also working to further enhance our macroeconomic models, scenario analysis and risk assessment. This helps us better account for climate risks and the implication for the transition to a carbon-neutral economy may have. As it is relevant to our primary mandate, we are also working to better take into account climate-related financial risk in the Eurosystem's balance sheet. In doing so, we are also following our secondary objective by supporting the green transition of the economy in line with the EU's climate neutrality objectives. In the implementation of our monetary policy, for instance, our tilting activities have helped decarbonize our corporate bond holdings, and we continue to tilt our reinvestments under the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Programme. You have a reference to that.
In Nigeria, despite the hardship occasioned by fuel subsidy removal in June, the service sector has pushed Nigeria's gross domestic product to grow marginally in the third quarter of 2023 by 2.25%. According to the National Bureau of Statistics' latest data, Nigeria's GDP grew by 2.54% year-on-year in real terms in the third quarter, from 2.51% in the second quarter and 2.25% in the same period last year. NBS said the agricultural sector grew by 1.3% from the growth of 1.34% recorded in the third quarter of 2022, and that the industry sector's growth was 0.46%, an improvement from a negative 8% recorded in the third quarter of 2022. Quite an improvement there. And now let's look at the markets, the commodity markets, as oil prices rise ahead of OPEC Plus meeting. WTI crude futures rose above $75 per barrel today, snapping a 4-day decline as investors geared up for an OPEC Plus meeting later in the week, where Saudi Arabia and Russia are widely expected to extend voluntary supply cuts until at least the first quarter of 2024. Traders are already speculating that the group could deepen production cuts further to support the market. Meanwhile, the International Energy Agency said it still expects a slight surplus in global and oil markets next year, despite the potential extension of OPEC Plus supply cuts well into 2024. And now let's get to the market itself and see what the prices are for these energy commodities, and afterwards the metal and the agricultural market, the energy market now. The price of crude oil in the market stands at $75 per barrel, upward by 0.6 points, a 0.84% appreciation. Brent, which is Nigeria's price benchmark, current price for it is $80 per barrel. Natural gas a little here, a little there, but still on the positive, and the entire energy market is on the positive. And now to the metals. The price of gold slightly downward this morning, $2,013 per ounce, a negative 0.01% decline. A silver price follows suit at a negative 0.07% decline. $24 per ounce is the price of silver. A copper price slightly downward this morning, $3.74 per pound, and steel price 3,918 Chinese yuan per ton, and dropping 26 points this morning. Now to the agricultural commodities. Soybeans is slightly upward by 2.5 points, 0.19% appreciation, $1,332 per bushel. Wheat price $535 per bushel, upward by 0.86 points, a 0.16% appreciation. Lumber downward by 5.5 points, palm oil downward by 20 points, and the price of palm oil this morning is 3,871 Malaysian ringgit per ton. Cheese price slightly downward, and milk a little here, a little there. And now to the foreign exchange market, looking at the currency pairs and their performances, the FX market this morning, beginning with South Africa. The South African rand traded around 18.7 per US dollars, strengthening from a near 1 month low of $18.9 hits on November 22nd, helped by a subdued dollar amid hopes of an end to US interest rate hikes. Meanwhile, the South African Reserve Bank decided to keep interest rates on hold for the third consecutive time at 8.25% at its latest meeting on November 23rd. Nevertheless, the central bank was once again hawkish in tone as economic uncertainty persists in South Africa and inflation rates remain tilted to the upside. Now to Nigeria's Naira. Naira depreciates against the dollar at the forex market. The currency, the Naira, depreciated against the US dollar on Monday at the foreign exchange market. Official data from FNDQ disclosed that the Naira depreciated marginally to 814 Naira 60 kobo per dollar on Monday, from 794 Naira 89 kobo per dollar at the close of work on Friday. This represents 19 Naira 17 kobo depreciation, or a 2.48% increase at the official market, compared to the 793 Naira 50 kobo it closed on Friday. Quickly, let's look into the market and see what the prices are, the US dollar against the Naira, and afterwards we'll look at Naira in the parallel market and other markets. The US dollar against the Naira this morning. According to the numbers that are out, the US dollar is struggling against the Naira this morning. 789 Naira equals 1 US dollar. A drop for the US dollar in terms of points, 10 points drop for the US dollar. A negative 1.2 0.25%, meaning Naira is gaining this morning against the majors. The euro against the Naira, current price 864 Naira to the euro, and a decline for the euro of 15 points in favor of the Naira. The pound to the Naira, 995 Naira equals £1, and a decline of 17 Naira in terms of value against the pound and in favor of the Naira. 1.75% decline, and that's the story. Let's quickly go to the paro market and see what the prices are in the paro market. A dollar to Naira, current price level is 1,161 Naira, equaling $1 at the buying rate, and selling rate 1,152 Naira. Pounds to Naira, the price level is 1,458 Naira to the pound at buying rate, and selling rate 1,435 Naira. Euro to the Naira, the buying rate 1,246 Naira equals €1, and selling rate 1,235 Naira. Quickly, let's look at the cryptocurrency market and what the price level is. First, let's talk about the euro against the US dollar before looking at the crypto market. Well, 1.09 points mark is the price level for the euro against the US dollar, and the pound is still at 1.26 point mark. It's been a struggle for these currency pairs, the majors, in the past week, and the volatility level is quite low. And cryptocurrency market gives indication this morning to what the market says. A Bitcoin price has gained 13 points after falling yesterday. $37,053 is the price of Bitcoin, a gain of 0.04%. Market is moving quite fast, 0.02% at the moment. Ether, a slightly downward this morning, a negative 0.05% decline. $2,014 is the price of one Ether. Now, having a close look at the Nigerian stock market, what the stock market brings, market valuation and performance this morning. Well, we'll look at over the last 7 days, the market has remained flat, although notably the healthcare sector gained 17% in that time. As for the longer term, the market has risen 57% in the past 12 months. Earnings are forecast to grow by 23% annually. The question would be which sectors have driven the changes within the Nigerian markets. And let's look at the sectors within the last 7 days in the Nigerian market, and afterwards we'll look at again as the sectors this morning. Sectoral performance in the Nigerian stock market has indicated the healthcare sector doing quite well, gaining massive 18.41% in the market in the last 7 days. And despite the fact that the Nigerian stock market has grown in the last 7 days by 0.56%, not much. Anyway, financial sectors has gained 3.72%, but the biggest losers has been the tech sector in the Nigerian stock market, and the sectoral market losing 2.07%. Let's quickly look at the top gainers in the last 7 days in the market. First Bank gained the most in the market, adding a whooping 71.8 billion Naira in the last 7 days in the market, and the current price level is 22 Naira per share in First Bank of Nigeria's share, gaining 10% in the market. Zenith Bank followed suit, gaining 64.5 billion Naira over 7 days, and Guarantee Trust Holding also gaining 4.7 at number 3, a gain of 37.3 billion Naira in the market. Let's look at the biggest losers for the past 7 days in the Nigerian stock market. Bar Foods topped the losers table after losing a whooping 70.2 billion Naira in the market. Current price level for Bar Foods is 198 Naira 90 kobo per share, dropping for the last 7 days a negative 1.9%, which amount to 70.2 billion Naira. While other losers were MTN Nigeria losing 31.5 billion Naira, Dangote Sugar Refinery losing 12.1 billion Naira, and Nigerian Breweries losing 9.2 billion Naira in the course of 7 days. And it's been the conversation, international breweries also losing there about 8.6 billion Naira in the market. It's the complexity of the market and how complicated it is, moving high and getting low. But here we draw the curtain in today's edition of Business 360. Thank you for being a part of it. My name is Bladen Kim, and thank you for watching.